The walking simulator in Arkham Asylum. The walking simulator, said by many Arkham YouTubers, is the very beginning of Arkham Asylum where Batman brings in Joker and you're just walking for a good maybe like 5 minutes as it introduces everybody. But I feel like it's not that bad of a thing because it's actually really important to the plot of the whole game. So if we start watching this, like you see here, we start with Batman bringing in Joker, and just this whole sequence basically is like it's setting up the whole game, showing us like, oh, Batman's bringing in Joker to the asylum, and then Joker's obviously messing around with everybody, and then introduces us to Orange Sharp, Officer Balls, who we obviously learn later is a bad guy, but obviously we don't know that yet. But we're just seeing everybody being introduced. We're seeing the dynamic, how there's the security guards with armor and helmets and everything. There's Warren Sharp. There's Batman, who has a good relationship with the asylum since he's bringing them in all the time. And then we start with the walking simulator, basically what everybody calls the walking simulator. Batman is walking around, talking to the guards, asking about everything, and he follows since he feels something is wrong. And we just keep going through this as Joker is just talking to everybody, taunting everybody, basically just being how the Joker is. And I don't see how people... I know it's probably just rage bait when people call it a walking simulator, but it is important because it sets up the environment, it sets up the rest of the game. And you see, like, by looking at the dialogue, it kind of gives us more insight. Like, they just brought up Dr. Young, who obviously she dies later in the game, but is crucial to the plot because she's basically the one who started this whole problem with the Joker without knowing it. And the more we watch, we just see the more of the dynamic between Batman and Joker. Batman obviously doesn't trust Joker, and Joker sees this whole thing as a game. But Batman obviously is trying to save lives. Joker has been planning this takeover of the asylum for months, while Batman obviously had nothing to know. He knew nothing about it. And as we continue, we just see that there's some more. You see, like, where they're bringing up Killer Croc, and then you see over there, there's Dr. Young. And it's just, it's important to how it sets up the rest of the game, because it's showing how there's other villains in the asylum besides just Joker, because it just brought up Croc, and then we'll see Croc, and then there's going to be more villains who aren't shown during the walking simulator, but just by showing Croc, it's showing that there's more villains in the asylum that Batman has to deal with. And obviously, there's other inmates at the asylum, like those ones that are cheering Joker on over there. And now it just shows us like normal procedure with this. I believe he's a doctor. He's going to check on Joker to make sure he's good before taking him in. Obviously, Officer Balls is not very happy since he's kind of just trying to get it over with. For some reason, Officer Balls is respected since I guess he's just been there for a while, even though he has a really bad attitude. But as we progress through this walking simulator, we just see it's just setting up more of the game. And now they're showing me an elevator with this is where we see Killer Croc, kind of introducing him as like the big scary monster in the whole asylum that nobody really wants to deal with but is forced to. But this also kind of sets up, like, showing how there's other villains in the asylum. now we see how Batman and Joker, we see more of their dynamic, showing how Batman is basically telling Joker like he's not gonna enjoy where he's going. Basically, the Joker just believing he's doing whatever he's doing is fun, and Batman saying he's not going to enjoy it because it's a bad thing. Obviously, Officer Bowles over there is making it even worse by getting angrier. And now Batman is questioning why Joker got out so easily, basically setting up how Joker gave up easily so that he could be brought into the asylum so he could take it over, and then Batman would get stuck in his trap because he knew Batman would see something was wrong and stay at the asylum. And then we have this elevator scene where it shows more of their dynamic, where Batman doesn't trust Joker at all, which is why you see him choking him out, even though Joker is strapped down to make sure he can't do anything. Like, who knows, try to attack one of the guards or something. And it brings us over to the next part of the walking simulator, where it shows us more of Joker's bad side. He's killed a lot of people. Obviously, Joker, not faced by it, is like, oh, let me just try. I'll kill some more next time. And then we get introduced to another important character who always shows up in the Arkham series, Commissioner Gordon, who is obviously also crucial to the plot, since he gets used as bait for Batman. He's the one that helps Batman take villains to the asylum, runs the police, and then we just saw Harley Quinn there, who's basically helping Joker with this whole asylum takeover. And then now this is kind of the end of the walking simulator, where the whole story really starts to take off. In the background, you can see. Well, in the background, I don't know if you can really see, but yeah, you see Officer Bowles there drinking from his flask, which is important because that's how you track him later on. And then basically we just end with seeing how Joker meant to do this all along. This was his whole plan to basically get himself free, take over the asylum, trap Batman in, while Harley and the others have control of the whole asylum, where Batman can't go anywhere except wherever they want to. And Joker thinks he has this whole thing won and makes basically a whole game out of it to kind of torture Batman. But yeah, this is what I believe it's important that the walking simulator is here, since it basically sets up the whole plot of the whole story.
So in the end, the walking simulator, I say, is very important to the game because it sets up the plot of the whole story. It introduces the villains of the game, or basically it shows that there's Joker, the big villain, Harley Quinn, who helps him, and then it shows us with Killer Croc that there's more villains in the asylum to deal with. Obviously a lot of them aren't there, but there are still some that are there. It shows us there's the doctors, like Dr. Young, who's important to the plot. It shows us that there's Warren Sharp, who obviously in this game doesn't really do that much, but it sets up he has something in the next game. He will show up in the next game, and it shows that even though Warren Sharp had his problems within the asylum, as he was used as a pawn for Hugo Strange, which is basically shown in a city. And then it also introduces us to Commissioner Gordon, who obviously we all know is Batman's biggest helper besides Robin. And yeah, basically it sets up the whole story of the game with the walking simulator, which I feel is very undervalued, as I feel the walking simulator to me sounds kind of like a negative thing versus how I think it's very well done by Rocksteady to basically introduce how the game is going to work, introducing the story, introducing the characters. But yeah, these are all my thoughts. If you got through all the way to the end, then please consider liking, subscribing, and let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I said in the comments.